Do. Wow, this is taking forever to come through at the other end. Don't know why. There we go. Righty-ho. Hey, Colt, how you doing? Thanks for dropping in. That's no good. What am I painting tonight? I'm painting a Salamander's Tech Marine. So yeah, just trying to get that, get him a little bit more progressed. I initially had the flames painted on in a bronze colour and I didn't like how it looked, so I'm going back and redoing it in the traditional red and yellow fire style. You're in pain and you're frustrated, Colt. Oh, that's no good. Why are you in pain and why are you frustrated? What's happened? If you don't mind sharing, that is. You can, of course, just say, I'd rather not say. Is that a World Eater that's been crumped? It is most definitely a World Eater who has been crumped. As you can see, he's got a little bit of his cranium caved in. A little bit of freehand on there as well. And he's wearing the classic Superior Mark III. Hi Curtis, how you doing? Alright, there we go. I'm doing well, hope you're doing well. Nice work on that. Well, thanks Curtis, really appreciate it. It's yeah, it's not a bad looking mini so far. I'm quite happy with it. Unfortunately, I have painted my green salamanders in 3 different ways. I've got 2 of them here, and they are radically different in their tone, and I have just not documented the green I've used, how I've done that for any of them, which is really stupid of me. I really should, you know, write it down. Pardon me. But green is definitely one of those colours that I struggle with. I have this pain in my spine. When I move a little, my whole body jolts in pain. And I'm frustrated because our systems had a shit show at work for 2 hours. Well, that's no good, buddy. That sounds like maybe you've hit your sciatic nerve or something. The only advice I can really give you is try and take a nice hot bath and listen to the soothing sounds of Radio Bando. But yeah, no, seriously, if it should get better if it's just a muscle thing. But if it doesn't, you want to get that looked at, because back pain is not something you want to just mess around with. Says the guy who's had back pain every day this week. Of course, it could be that you've just hit 30 and that's now your life, unfortunately. Hey Cyan, how you doing? Good to see you, good to see you. That's why I write down how I paint armies, or I only buy one shade of colour for a suit. Yeah, I mean, I should. A lot of the time I can just remember it. Like, I can just remember the recipe, but because I don't paint green that often, this one has eluded me, unfortunately. taking the rest of the week off from the gym. That's always a good start. Yeah. I mean, I do go 6 times a week to the gym for almost a year. Well, that's good, man. That's good. You know, you've got to get yourself fit. And keeping yourself fit while you're younger is the best way to sort of maintain a good level of mobility and everything later in life. Which is something I wish I'd known when I was a lot younger. But I walk everywhere, so that's basically my primary exercise is walking. I walk to work, I walk into town. I don't drive, and I just walk everywhere. Which is good. It means my legs are absolutely massive, but the downside is that doesn't help my upper body strength at all. It's Dr. Oh No. Hello, Bando. It's your boy. I don't believe he's a licensed medical professional at all. So I was watching the video I uploaded yesterday about the assault squad, and when I record the video, I take a nice deep breath at the beginning of the video, and I try to really be as positive. But I listened back to it, and it's like, yes, Bando, I'm really depressed, go away. And I was just like, wow, this is an awful video. I think that's all I'm going to do red on there then. I'm doing the gym for a cosplay as well, which will be a Halo Elite cosplay, but also a Spartan. Who knows, in a starter. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool, man. The only cosplay I could really pull off would probably be a Boomer from Left 4 Dead at the moment. Never done cosplay. I have a certificate and everything. It's in crayon, but it's the thought that counts. Absolutely, Doc. Absolutely. I need to figure out what's a good scheme for Stealth Suit Kill Team and some Lizardmen for AOS / the Old World. Going to need a change of pace once all the Iron Warrior infantry are completed. Well, Curtis, I mean, you got the classic kind of plum and dark grey for the stealth suits is a good one. Other than that, you've got the obvious camo is another good choice. What you can do is just take your normal... There's a bloody hair in there, you little bastard. Get out of it. Take your normal colour scheme for your towel and then just desaturate it, mix in a little like warm grey or skin tone, like a bone colour, to desaturate it. Or just, the classic black. As for Lizardmen, I've always been rather partial to the classic, like blue, kind of turquoisey colour scheme for them. I don't think I've really ever seen a Lizardmen scheme that looks as good as that. But just, have a look at pictures of lizards. Get something really interesting going. Just remember that if you're going to be playing the old world, your regiment sizes could be quite large. So you could end up with regiments in the, 30 miniature size, and you can have 2 or 3 of them. So you want to make it easy, and visually striking, something that stands out but is easily identifiable as your army. So like something like a leopard gecko with like lots of tans and browns together might not look so great. Go for it painting. Hello. Well, hello to you too. Colt, I'm thinking about doing an Iron Warriors, which is the simplest, and I have the voice of an Iron Warrior or a Night Lord, according to some of my friends. Well, they're a good army. They are very easy to paint. And they're an army that scales with your painting ability. So there is nothing stopping you from just spraying the army silver and giving it a wash and basically calling it done. And then, of course, depending on your skills, you know, you can take it from the very basic, just sprayed silver and adding hazard stripes. You can then learn weathering techniques, chipping, streaking, oil washes. You can look at adding like smaller pieces of heraldry. You can look at adding like technical decals, that sort of thing. You know, really making the models look like they belong in universe. You know, lots and lots of warning symbols on things. You know, don't tread markers, you know, no step markers, munition warning labels, that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, if you just want an army that you can game with, spray them silver, wash them brown, and you're basically done. Oh, for a cosplay, well, again, it's even the same, isn't it? Spray it silver, paint those hazard stripes on, nice and easy, because you've got access to full-size masking tape. If I was to do an Astartes cosplay, I would like to do a White Scar. I'd do a White Scar in Mark IV armour, a big top knot on it, and something like a tulwar or a, you know, sabre. That's what I would do if I did an Astartes one. Hey Ballistus, hey Bando, how are things? They're getting better. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it's taking every day as it comes at the moment. Got to go try and help my mum this weekend, make sure she's okay. See if there's anything I can do to help out. Some of you weirdos will be very happy to hear that I actually bought some pallets to use. I'm not just using a random piece of plastic. Right, Alaric Skandovesky. Sam, we call you Sam. Doobie-doo. Dr. No, should my Spartan have striped doors or just black? I'm going to put decals on, but stumped for the background. It is really down to you aesthetically. I would probably say black doors on the sides. And then, let me go and find. So, not like this. So probably black doors on the side, and then just the hazard stripes on the front here. That's what I would do if I did a full-sized one. Maybe even look at black banding, so just do a whole, like, all of this section, mask it off, and do it in black, going across the whole thing. Or right down the middle, just do the main hull in black, and then the sides in silver with the yellow. It really is just about balancing out the three sort of colours you have for them. Iron Warrior with a big old power fist because we're not allowed to take any prop swords or guns to the office Halloween party. Pair of lightning claws, bro. Pair of lightning claws. They haven't said hammers. Hammer's a tool. It's not a weapon. Hazard strike the tank tracks? Yep, absolutely. That's 100% what you should do. That actually wouldn't be too dumb an idea. Just use hairspray chipping and do the tracks with the hairspray and then spray them yellow. Let that dry. And then do them, you know, do the black. And then just use a wet brush and just peel it back off and leave it along the recesses. So it does look like it's been done, but then also looks like it's been really heavily weathered. That'd be kind of cool. Sorry guys, keep forgetting I need to keep this in frame for you. My Centurion Delegatus has twin lightning claws. Well, there you go. How does that look? Does that look okay? I think that looks okay. If I do say so myself. Excellent. Right, let's get some leather done. Naval Iron Warriors in Dazzle camouflage, but instead of black and white, it's hazard stripes. So that's actually something kind of similar to what I was throwing around as an idea for some Iron Warriors, was actually doing them in camouflage. And yeah, like Dazzle camouflage, so it would be different shades of silver, but in blocks. I've also thought about doing a Mark 6 Iron Warrior army just to really wind people up, as like not a recon company, but basically like the forlorn hope. So they're the first guys through the breach, and their job is to secure the gatehouse, to open the gates to let the tanks through, to hunt down officers, hunt down, you know, high value targets when they're inside. So even if the attack's repulsed, they break through, get past the enemy lines, and then cause as much havoc inside as possible. And they're not very well known because Perturabo's smart enough to keep his special forces teams quiet. But I don't have any plans to do an Iron Warriors army anytime soon. Not above just the LI stuff there. Right, Colt, have fun. Hope your back feels better soon, mate. Enjoy playing Halo. Don't worry, I sometimes use random pieces of cardboard as a paint palette. Oh, yeah, been there, done that. Yeah, I use all sorts of stuff. No, I'm not gonna do that to that. Hey Havoc, I'm doing okay, mate. How are you? Let's keep things a bit more interesting. Put the palette there so you can see what I'm doing. Just mixed a bit of red into the brown. Ooh. No, that's a grey. I don't want a grey. I want tan. Mark 6, a 2-tool in comparison to Cataphracti army, and Iron Warrior army with 2 small working Cataphracti is sad. Yeah, I get that. Which is why you got to make your Cataphracti bigger. It's nice and easy to do. Right, okay. Doing okay, trying to order some Battletech while there's still a sale going on. Any suggestions? I have fallen in love with the Jenna. I think the Jenna is a fantastic looking and performing mech. My absolute favourite is the Locust and the Cicada, because I really like light, fast moving mechs. I don't think you can go wrong with something like an Atlas if you haven't got an assault like heavy mech, or a catapult, or madcap, whatever you want to call it. I'm using my old 4-year-old Mark 6 Marines in my Iron Warriors army, so I want to keep using the older Mark 6 for my Raven Guard, because that's what they've got, is lots of the older models, and I think it will stand out quite a lot. Which is rather annoying. I think a city fight themed Iron Warriors army in grey camo with lots of infantry would be really cool. Yes. The other option would be just to do Basilisk heavy. Yeah, Basilisk heavy, and even though Basilisks are no good, I meant 4-year-old China, 5 Marines with even farms for too much. Yeah, I've actually noticed that some of the websites I use, even the Chinese ones, are getting a bit expensive now, which is silly. I'm sick and tired of economic recessions, thanks. I think I'm on my 3rd now. Can we have a golden age? Just for like 10 minutes or so? Yeah, so if you guys haven't known, or haven't figured out, I know a lot of you guys here have, the Discord is up now, and you can find a link to it in the community posts of the channel. Feel free to join. There are more channels in there than you can see, but I've restricted access to them until I decide people can get access to them. Just because I'm a control freak. Okay. Let's let that dry and do some metallics while I wait. Bando, Discord, yes Havoc, yes indeed. Just picking out some details with the gold, just to make it look a bit more interesting. I really dislike how this model's leg is really weirdly like angled, where it, like the top plate is so far forward. It's I mean, it's a bionic leg, so it doesn't have to conform to normal, but it does just look like it's badly cast. I'm much more of a medium mech guy myself. After playing a campaign, medium mechs are just infinitely more replaceable and yet perform well. I've always been one of those people that enjoys more middle of the road kind of stuff. Average infantry, medium mechs, that sort of thing. Not just absolute chunky monster things and then all the best gear. I've always liked more of the kind of average, like the average soldier kind of thing. And I like light mechs because I like going really, 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 really fast. Right, what colour should I do the salamander's eyes, or the lenses and stuff? In comparison to the Nottingham original, the price difference is proverbial 1-to-1. Yes, yeah, it's pretty bad. And I've started planning out my Mark III for the word bearer conversion. So that'll be recorded at some point this week. Hopefully, maybe tomorrow. I was planning on doing it tonight, but I forgot about the stream. And had some damage as well. I managed to knock this guy off. So I need to repair that as well. Oh, I'm getting inundated with messages. I'd also forgot I had these. I did one last Forge World order and then decided that was it, I'm done. And I just picked up some random stuff. But these are nice. I don't even know what possessed me to buy Wordbearer Mark IV heads. But I did, apparently. Okay. some of the casts that I've had recently have been abysmal, but they're just as bad on legit Forge World models, which is the worst part. As much as we hate on CAD miniatures, they certainly are cleaner sculpts. So if you guys are in the Discord, you may notice that there is a stream chat and pictures channel, which should be available for everyone. Yep. So feel free to pop what you're working in there, and I'm happy to have a quick gander at what you're working on and offer any feedback. That'd be good if you guys are working on any interesting models at the moment. I think that's going to be enough. There we go. How does that fire look then, chaps? Does that look good to you? Alright, I want this one. I've nearly finished my first pot of Agrax. Managed to make it last a long time. Even spilt super glue on it. I'm looking forward to the new army painters coming out. I really want to get some of those. TT Combat have announced they're doing a new big box set with all their paints in one go. It's a bit expensive for my tastes, unfortunately. Probably just going to want to do the base, and I can't remember what colour I used for these guys' bases. That's good. Let's see if I can find them. Yoop-a-doo. Hi James, how you doing? Oh, we got someone posting pictures. Nice, nice. So Scion here has posted some Marines. That's a tactical squad for my Sons of Medusa. I'm not currently working on them, but CNC would be welcome, Bando. Still to apply decals. Right. I really like them. It's a lovely shade of green you've got. It's a good mix of armor marks. You've got the good bit of the Iron Hands, sorry, Mark III upgrade heads on the guy at the back. That's really cool. You got some Mark IV in there. I always love me some Mark IV. Are those Tortuga bodies by the look of it? Decal works good so far. It's not over the top. It's like nice and subtle, but it's believable. You know, it's understandable what, like, I feel like those markings would mean something. You know, you've got the squad number or whatever. You know, some awards, that sort of thing. Drilled barrels. It's already better than me. The only bit I'm not a fan of, and don't take this as criticism, it's just me being me, is they're kind of let down a little bit by the eyes. Like, they've got this very gritty, what do you call it? Grimdark kind of styling, very like Inquisitor 98. And I love it. I think it's great. But the eyes could use a little bit of work. But the eyes are hard to do. I get that. But like that image, like that there, framed like that, could be a really cool, like sepia toned. I'd expect to see something cool like that in the Black Books or something. That's really cool. And I love how you've got the metal is black, you know, it's like it's cast iron almost, but then, you know, the chipping and the rust and the dirt, it's great. It's really good. And I love this shade of green. This is a lovely shade of green. And here we've got man's World Eater's Praetor work in progress. He's clearly got some stolen property. So it's a 3D print mostly. I can't remember the name of the guy who designed this, but it's a modernization of the classic like company champion with the mixed armor mark. It's a very nice 3D print. I like it. I'm not going to like comment on the quality of the print. Like, that's not something that this is for. So let's have a look at all the bits. You've got the classic Berserker 2nd edition backpack. That's a nice throwback. That's kind of cool. Captured, heavily damaged Ultramarines. Ultramarines axe. That's really cool. Nice big tilt shield. Great big tilt shield. If you like doing freehand, you could do some really cool heraldry on there. And he's got a hand flamer. Hand flamers are really cool. You missed a little support there by the look of it. You might want to get rid of that. A couple in the groin area too. I'm not sure what you're doing with these shoulder pads. I'm not a fan, personally. The head's fine. You know, it's one of the Berserker heads. It's cool. And it fits. He's got a very menacing and imposing look to him. My only criticism, I think, so far is the shoulder pads. They're just a bit too damaged. But that's just me. I'd swap out the shoulder pads. All in all, that's going to look cool. It's going to look really cool when it's all painted up. So keep us, keep us in the loop with that, because that's going to be cool. And he's not glued to his base, so that's okay. So yeah, no, those are all really good. James is doing purple base coats in bulk. Yeah, sometimes it's just something you've got to do, isn't it? You've just got to get through you know, priming and base coating a large number of models so you can get on with doing something fun. Like all the gold trim on a large number of models. So yeah, those were Mark IV Tortugas. Lokagos, I've been trying to get some Heresy heads. Could I convert Mark VIII helmets somehow? I don't see why not. Mark VIII helmets, as far as I know, are just Mark VII helmets. I don't think there's any difference to Mark VIII helmets, are there? Mark VIII errant armor helmets. I guess it's just the ones that come in the old Death Watch kit, isn't it? Yeah, as far as I know, Mark VIII Errant Armor's helmets are literally just the same as Mark VII. The main changes to Mark VIII were slight changes to the legs and mostly to the upper torso. So what you can do is Sarum pattern helmets. Open image in new tab. There we go. So this is the Sarum pattern helmet for the Heresy, and was basically created so people can use Mark VII helmets. Really, the only difference between this and a regular Mark VII helmet is it's technically supposed to use one specific Vox grill, but the bit at the top, which I don't think anyone actually knows what this is, I've always assumed it's some sort of like headlamp. The crest on the top is slightly thinner on a Sarum pattern than it is on a standard Mark VII Aquila helmet, so you can just trim it down or just leave it. It's no biggie. Yeah, if you're going to use them for the Heresy, go for it. They do seem to be used more for the World Eaters. They definitely were the guys who wore the Sarum pattern more than anyone else. But they definitely are there. Now, you can convert them to be other armor marks. The easiest, I say easiest, it's not the easiest. The simplest is Mark V. What you do is you take your regular Mark VII helmet, so grab one of those. So we take our normal Mark VII helmet. And what you'd want to do is you'd want to trim this back a little bit. So normally it comes down to the forehead. You want to take it back maybe a millimetre, mil and a half, so it's more in the top of the head. Then you'd want to drill a hole right in the forehead, and then one here, and then one here and one here, and you'd be adding studs. The studs are not really necessary. They are iconic as part of the Mark V armour. And you can get them from Zinj Industries. Do some great studs that are quite cheap. Yeah, you do one like there, and then one there, and then one there, and go around. That is the easiest way of converting that into a Heresy like era helmet that someone can't really complain about, because you've done the effort to make it look like a Mark V helmet. The rest of the armour, if you are just using Mark 7 or Mark 8 models, it's going to be a little harder. It's not exactly a great picture, it's a bit small. Zoom in. Luckily, you can just use the shoulder pads and the arms from the Mark 6 kit. That's not a problem at all. You can use the legs from the Mark 6 kit, and what you can do is you just trim the top to make a gap to give it some knee pads, and then you add studs. It's going to be monotonous and you're going to want to kill yourself if you can't get them straight. And then the last thing really is the cabling on the front and side of the legs. And you could leave the Mark 6 torso as it is, that'd be absolutely fine. But another thing you can do is grab some guitar wire, guitar wire, slightly trim out some of the areas in the chest and just slot the guitar wire in there. It can look pretty cool if you do it, do it well. Not to say you can't do it well. Other than that, yeah, you can use them as Mark 7 helmets. Mark 7, if the army is for the Siege of Terror, is absolutely fine. I've got Mark 7 helmets in my Imperial Fists army. I keep using this model for examples, just because I have him to hand. If you've got Imperial Fists, White Scars, Dark Angels, or Blood Angels, they were all present at the palace. They would have all had access to that suit of armour, as would any of the traitors who were also present, technically. Be prepared to defend your choices, because some people will not like it. So yeah, that's it. Really, you want to get some heresy heads, you can convert Mark 8 heads. Yeah, that's quite easy. Even the ones which come from the Deathwatch kit, they're all the same. Primaris heads are right out though. They've got the weird slopey cover over the ears, and that makes them stand out way too much. I'm gonna do it blue. I'm sure that could be summed up in considerably less words, but verbal diarrhea is something I enjoy. Right. I think somebody's posted some more to look at. Oh, a Marines Malevolent Chapter Master. So this was posted by Liam J. Rock. Hi, Liam. And yeah, that's his work in progress for his Marines Malevolent Chapter Master. Some lovely green stuff work there. That's really impressive. I'm assuming that's probably like a roller to get that uniformity. If not, very good sculpting work. Really, really nice. Very impressive looking weapon. I like that. It's not over the top. It looks good. Yeah, I look forward to seeing that painted. Marines Malevolent are one of those chapters that I'd love to paint at some point. I just can't justify another Marine force. But yeah, no, that's really cool. Other than being 40k, of course. Yeah, them and the size of the Emperor I'd quite like to do. Maybe I'm just a glutton for punishment. I like painting yellow, that's all it is. Now I ruined the model by trying to do a little bit of object source lighting. Has anyone here experience in converting Mechanicum units as cheap alternatives, exceptionally myrmidons. It can be done. It just depends on how confident you are with kit bashing, what you want to accomplish, the style of the models you're after. There's not many kind of Myrmidon kind of models around, so your best bet would be something that is more like a proxy. So like heavy servitors, so like the Ogryn servitors from Necromunda. What are they called? Coffin? The big rolly robot things that are in 40k for them, for the Mechanicum. Or Mechanicus. Everyone should, like, any Mechanicum player should have just an absolute boatload of that one tech priest that was included in like every box set ever, so you could use those. But yeah, it just depends really. I've not certainly done any, unfortunately. Mechanicum has been on the list, but not something I've prioritised really. It'll happen eventually, I'm sure. I can't even think of a theme I'd want to do for a Mechanicum force. Why this guy's eyes are so heavily recessed into his helmet, I will never know. Whoops. Very difficult to see his eyes. It's almost like they didn't sculpt the eyes in anyway. So it doesn't really work, but okay, that works for me. Electro Priest legs and Catafront upper body was my idea, but the two sets would end up spending close to double simply buying Myrmidons from Forge. That is the problem, unfortunately. I mean, everything's going to cost you more, really. What are they called? Myrmidons. Let's have a look, see if I can find you something. Bloop. There is not much out there. That's really good. That's a pity. Oh, we got another one. We got some more. More Marines Malevolent. I can't talk today. I'm actually having a stroke. From Liam. That's a lovely yellow. That's very nice. I like that. Even if it is a dirty Primaris model. Lovely yellow. Really nice. Good work. Is that, I'm assuming that's just a decal. If that's freehand, it's sickening. If it's a decal, it's still pretty good. Yeah, it's got to be a decal. Or not. Interesting choice of doing a different shade of yellow for the gun, for the hazard stripes. Looks good. Looks really good. Oh, Scion's posted up something. What we got here? Another Tortuga Bay torso. And I finally took a picture of something I'm actually working on, a Chaos Lord for my Wordbearer's Warband. Decided to go with a more commanding pose because I think it fits well for a Wordbearer to see themselves as kind of a noble lord spreading their faith. I still have to sculpt some of the under armour, but this model's about 90% done. Okay, well, let's take a look-see, shall we? Nice use of etched brass parts. This is definitely something GW should look at bringing back. Etched brass was brilliant. Good use for Chaos backpack. Good balanced pose. You know, you've got one line of action basically. It's a very static pose, but it's absolutely fine. And let's look at the back, because there's some details on the back one as well. Other than some trim to tidy up. Yeah, looks good. Yeah, no, I quite like that. Might have used a different head because that one doesn't seem to fit very well in there, but I'm sure that'll be fixed by you with some sculpting. Yeah, I've got no. He's missing a book. He's a word bearer. Where are his words? You know, so that's my only complaint. There's no book. But yeah, no, it's a really nice model. I look forward to seeing it painted. So keep us in the loop. Yeah, no, that was really good. I still can't get over that yellow. That's a lovely yellow, Liam. Really, you should be really proud of that. You must. How long have you been painting for, Liam? If you're watching. That's a really nice yellow. Right. What's left to do on him? I think just the base is left to do, really. Maybe find some decals to stick on there. The leather looks okay now that the Agrax is dried, although it is reflecting that green tone very nicely. Yeah, I just need to do some weathering with the base, so there'll be some orange going in around his legs, around his feet and stuff, so for the brick dust. That's good. I'm calling him pretty much done then. So you go up there now. These guys need to do the bases on. Let's go back and do some more of this. Hey, Scales of War, yes, a salamander. Although I have just finished working with him. He has been painting for about 10 years. That's pretty good. Oil paints. Oh, okay. That's cool. That's really good. You should be very proud of that. I've never used oil paints to actually paint a whole model before. Don't think I could bring myself to do it. And now I want that one. Do-ba-do-ba-do-ba-do. Got to head for your TS, fine man. Thanks very much for watching. I appreciate you guys coming along. I'm not going to be on here much longer anyway. I'm getting harassed to go to a pub, so I will probably head out to see one of my friends shortly. Again, guys, if you are not in the Discord, feel free to come join it. Links are on the community page, so if you just have a look at my channel, you'll find that quite easily. Everyone can join. There's nothing special about it at the moment, but yeah, no, they'll be growing. If there's any suggestions, you can put them in there. Any requests for any sort of films, any videos you want me to do, you can pop them in there as well, and I'll be happy to take a look. And I will be doing my word bearers detailing video at some point, and then I've got to see what's the next one people want worked on. I think the next vote will probably be between, I don't know, Space Wolves and White Scars, or maybe White Scars and Salamanders. Mix it up a little bit. Does everyone like the new Sons of Horus model? Sorry if it's already been discussed. No, we've not actually discussed that yet. So, that was actually my plan for my video today. And then I remembered it was a Thursday and I streamed for you guys on a Thursday. So, my thoughts on the Sons of Horus Dark Equerry, or whatever he's called, model. As a model, he's pretty good. Let's just grab a picture of him because it's nice and easy. Walk up. Because it's more interesting for me to look at it this way. There we go. Okay, so what do I like about this model? The pose is pretty good. He's nice and static. He's nice and neutral. He's nothing crazy. All in all, a pretty good model. He's in Mark IV armor. The trim on the Mark IV armor, as you can see around here, is definitely starting to move towards that more late war Chaos Space Marine look. Detailing on the arms, the shoulder pads, and the chest are really nice. I actually quite like the face. I know some people will be memeing on the face, but I quite like it. Yeah, so generally I quite like it. The bits I don't like, whatever this is, I don't like him holding this skull talisman thing. I think it looks dumb. The skulls in general, I think, kind of look a bit dumb. There's too many of them. The staff is very chunky. I don't like the detail, and I think that they should have swapped the skull for the Eye of Terror on here, because it should have been like he is holding the symbol of the Warmaster. Also, we haven't had many units use the moon. The sickle moon symbol was a symbol of the Sons of Horus back in Rogue Trader. It has not been used pretty much anywhere, as far as I'm aware, since then. So it's very weird that it is so prevalent in 4 places on this model, at least. Is it only 4? Looks like it's 4 times it's repeated, which is a little weird. All in all, it's a solid model. The way I see it is this should have been maybe a plastic model and should have been released as part of a big battle box. He's okay. He can be used to make some nice Praetors. Oh no, it's 5 times because there's one on his waist as well. There we go. He'll be used to make some nice Praetors. The interesting and important thing to note about this model is this is not something you can take in a regular Sons of Horus army. This is meant to be used for allied detachments. So if you've got an Iron Warriors army, for example, you take your Sons of Horus allies, and this guy can be your contemporary HQ, giving all the Sons of Horus stubborn. He's also probably massive compared to other Marines, because, new Mark IV. But this is the second model with the new Mark IV armour, which makes me think that Mark IV is on its way sooner rather than later. Do I think we needed this model? No, not particularly. I'm happy we've got it because, new model, whatever. We did not need another Sons of Horus release. If this had been a Word Bearers model, it probably would have been more acceptable. If it had been down to me, this would not have been a Sons of Horus model. I probably would have done the Iron Warriors Praetors. Or, actually not the Iron Warriors Praetors, probably the World Eaters Praetors. Because with the release of the Assault Marines, people are going to be interested in, fast attacking, close combat kind of models. So I probably would have done the World Eaters. The cloth, Scales of War, the cloth is much nicer. There's been some really awful cloth recently. Real sharp edges, real chunky, bad sculpting. This has got some nice flowing cloth that'll be nice to paint. You can get some really nice blending on these areas. And then, you got some nice trim as well. It almost looks like it's been painted in non-metallic metals as well, which is very weird. The colours as well. This is something I've got to, Games Workshop's Sons of Horus colour scheme is almost drifting into Alpha Legion territory at this point. It's become so blue-green rather than like sea green. It really feels more like an Alpha Legion colour scheme, especially with this head. The dagger's a nice touch. I do like the look of the dagger. That's kind of cool. The texturing on the shaft of his staff, not so fond of. The hand sculpt's not great. I'm hoping he comes with an alternate hand, maybe like a plasma pistol or a Volkite pistol. Yeah, it's a good model. I can't knock the model, just the release schedule. I won't pick it up from Forge World, Games Workshop. There's no point in me buying this from them. I don't, my Sons of Horus are one of my main armies. They're not an allied detachment. If I was going to do that, I'd do something different. I'd do a different force. Mark IV, there still is a Derridario Option 2 in the release pipeline, which, what a good model to release in a box set with new Mark IV and a Land Raider as the first one sold so well. Yes, Mark, you're absolutely correct. I actually completely forgot about the second Derridario. I can't speak. I can't talk today. What's going on? I can't do the English. I got the dumb. The second loadout Derridario Dreadnought, Dorito, the Boatnaught. The Derridario Dreadnought second wave with the Borealis missiles, I think it is, the Volkites and the las cannons, I believe. Yeah, las cannons. So we've got that. I'm actually surprised we haven't seen that yet. It's about 6 weeks between the first Contemptor and the second Contemptor, and about the same for the Leviathan as well. I don't think it's been 6 weeks since the release of the Battalion box. No, it's been 3 months because I've just paid off my third payment on them. So yeah, it's been way more than that. So yeah, there's more in the pipeline. Okay, fine, that's cool. Give us a Mark IV box set, 30 Mark IV with half a heavy weapon sprue and the second Derridario and a Sikaran, like a Sikaran tank would be a really good one to throw in the box. It's about the same price as a Land Raider. It would sell out really quickly. I would most definitely buy one of those box sets because the second Derridario, the Sikaran and Mark IV Marines is all stuff I'd like. It's all stuff I'd want if that was the set on the table. I would probably have to look at selling a kidney, unfortunately. The Shin armor is a bit too close to the ground for me. They've really gone for a very stylized, thick lower leg nowadays, and he'd struggle on uneven ground. I mean, the idea that maybe it lowers down, hydraulically lowers down to increase protection, and then as it moves, as it picks him up moving, it lifts it up again with each step. Because that's kind of what happens with the shoulder pads. The shoulder pads react, so if he looks this way, this shoulder pad drops. We don't know. It's all make-believe. But yeah, stylistically, it's a bit weird. Now, as I'm listening to the Horus Rising audiobook, I wanted to paint some Lunar Wolves. Lunar Wolves are great. Lunar Wolves were one of the most popular pre-Heresy armies back in 4th edition. Lots of people liked them. You had lots of conversions. Actually, one of the most popular conversions was to take a Godwin pattern bolter. So this is obviously not a Godwin pattern bolter. And cut the magazine off and stick it up here. So it would be at the front, because it was very similar to how some of the artwork from the Heresy era would have the bolters. That was very popular with some people. I reckon some Horus Heresy releases were moved back or for the LI delayed launch. Absolutely. Yeah, that's going to have had a negative knock-on effect that will be felt for probably continuing in next year. And I'm still not convinced LI is going to do well. I still reckon it's going to crash and burn. I reckon you're going to get lots of people who'll be like, yeah, this is amazing. Oh, I can't believe it. Oh, this is so cool. And then 3 weeks from now, they'll be like, when's the next Space Marine Codex coming out? Of course, you're going to have some people who are absolute diehard fans, and you know, good for them. But yeah, some of the fans are going to be very fair weather, in my opinion. What have we got? Cyan's already made some changes to his model. Swapping out the head and adding a book. Yeah, actually, I think that does look better, mate. Give him like a really cool, like 8-pointed Chaos Star face tattoo as well. Would look really cool. That's really cool. I like that, yeah. I will be giving him some parchment and scrolls once I get into sculpting. Those are pretty easy to do. Literally just, you make a little like rectangle and you just roll it up. Scalpers and influencers will boost up the initial launch sales after that, however. Yeah, James, you're absolutely correct. I think scalpers have been getting hurt a little bit recently. I think some people have managed to get their stuff despite the scalpers. There's still some stuff, like the limited edition books have been a little hard to get a hold of for some people. But, yeah, I think that the scalpers might be losing out with the new website. Which is good, no. That's a face only a mother could love. And yeah, poor scalpers. Yeah, no, I knew it was bad when I started seeing investment pages were talking about Games Workshop as being a good investment for their customers and recommending people pick up model kits to resell. And I was like, yeah, if we've got to this stage, it only accelerates from here. And if that happens, then it's like it will get to a point where people can't buy the hobby from Games Workshop. You'll only be able to buy it from these investment firms because they'll buy up everything. Which is why people can't find houses. Yeah. All done. That's all done. I'll just keep going like that. Most of the limited books are scalped by an individual within Games Workshop. Same with the full draw transfer sheets at one point. Yes, they are. You may have heard of, I think it's Goldfish Blue. It is strongly believed by people inside Games Workshop that that person works for Games Workshop. Yeah. Moving the magazine closer to the barrel end provably improves ballistic properties of the bolter. Yes, spot on. Yeah, absolutely spot on. Although a bolter doesn't generally worry about ballistics because it's a gyrojet weapon. I wonder if we'll have a repeat of the comics crash, but with GW models. I mean, it could happen. The problem is GW has relied on whales for a long time. You know, your average hobbyist going in and buying a £35 box set a month isn't who GW cares about. GW cares about the guy that goes in and spends $2,000 and splash releases. Who, you know, a tournament player who buys a 2,500 point army and then buys the next one when the next one comes out that's better. Like, there are at least 3 stores that I'm aware of who have been closed during a shopping day because someone's come in and cleaned the shop out. So there are people out there who have spending control issues and far too much money. For me, it's when it requires far more effort than simply buying or paying double or triple. I don't care for the product. Yep. For an uncultured swine like me, could you explain what the comic crash was? As far as I'm aware, the comic book crash was basically... So... The price of comics use was climbing, and second-hand comics especially were going through the roof. And you were paying several £1,000s for certain comic books. And it still happens to this day. Certain comic books, Action #1, any of the early Spider-Man stuff, some of the harder to get Batman comics, that sort of thing. Generally, it's Spider-Man, Batman, X-Men, Superman, and that's really about it, are the popular ones. And any of the #1s, any of the variants, everything basically pre-1990. Like, the 90s. No later than, like, 1998, really. Some of those had some value. And, you know, it could range from £20 to £30 for a comic, all the way up to a couple of thousand. To, you know, actually a lot more. $250,000, I think, at one point for some of them. And then, after the 90s... Comics, Marvel, basically, they just couldn't sell books from like 1996 onwards. The only thing that kept Marvel Comics alive was their sale of the Spider-Man properties to Sony. And, yeah, they sold off the rights to Spider-Man, X-Men... Oh, who else was it? Spider-Man, X-Men... The Fantastic Four, and a couple of others. Blade, I think, was one of them as well. And I can't remember some of the others. And that's where you started seeing comic book movies being made. But Marvel was in trouble. You could not sell these comics, even legitimately at shops. People just weren't buying comics. But really, the collector's market was what drove people, because people would go, "Oh my god, this you know, this comic book just sold for $100,000. I'm going to go buy up some comic books and stick them in the attic to, you know, as an investment." Well, it didn't work because the difference between comic books from, say, the 1970s, 60s and 70s, where your production run was limited to, at the most, like tens of thousands, to modern day comics where you can put out 250,000 books easily, if not millions of books, means that there isn't really a shortage. So people go out and buy the number ones, they buy the variants, they never go up in value beyond the cover price if you're lucky. And it's only got worse. It's only got worse because basically what happens in modern day Marvel comics especially is you'll have a new comic come out and the first book will do really, really well because everyone's buying the first one because they want to make sure, because, you know, everyone wants the next Action Comics number one. They want the next one. Oh my god, I can't believe this Miss Marvel comic number one is worth £250,000. It's never going to be worth that. Issue 2 comes out nowadays and the number of sales drops in half. Issue 3 comes out and it's not even a quarter of what issue 2 was. And by issue 6, whatever modern comic is now cancelled and they restart and they do another number one or a variant. They did a variant, 11 variant covers for the number one on one of the Green Lantern books, which is insane. Just utterly insane. And the whole idea is they're basically preying on people who are completionists. So go, hey, you got to collect all 11 comic character or covers. And yeah, the value, what the company perceived as the value, went through the roof. The market basically went, yeah, no. Especially nowadays. Modern day Marvel comics are abysmal. Modern day comics are being outsold by independent comics. People like Eric July's Isom is dominating the market. Ethan Van Sciver's Cyberfrog is doing really, really well. Ikari Press is getting out some really good books. Your boy Zach, I can't remember what his publishing company's called. He did some really good stuff. The Brightwisers couple are doing what is it called? American something. It's a very golden age comic. It's a 1950s style superhero, and he's a rooster, like that's his costume, and he drives around on a motorcycle with a sidecar. It's proper like 1940s, 1950s pulp superhero. Art style is phenomenal. The Brightwisers are just really talented. Cecil's Cash Grab comic was doing really well at one point. There are some, like, independent comics are doing really, really well. Eric July's Isom comic made millions on Kickstarter, and he'd already paid for everything. He'd paid for his entire production run out of his own pocket. He'd paid the artist, he'd paid the writers. The whole thing was paid for before he did his Kickstarter. The Kickstarter was to pay him back and pay the shipping costs. And now he's got a warehouse, he's got staff, he does his own distribution in-house. He's got himself to where Marvel was in the 1960s in under a year. Black writers, black artists, black staff, and Twitter hates it. It's hilarious. He basically is creating good stories. There's no resets, there's no time travel, there's no multiverse, and he posted up his like company rules, and it was stuff like, the customer is important, don't disrespect them, because that's what modern comics is nowadays, is people on Twitter going, I write for Marvel, I'm better than you. Yeah. So yeah, could the comics industry crash? Absolutely. If Games Workshop follows Marvel and Disney, and it hires those sorts of people with those sorts of values, you will absolutely see the property crash. I think it will be harder because of the popularity, but then again, it is a more niche product. I know that there's a post floating around on like Reddit and all that recently, which is like Warhammer isn't as niche as you think it is, because they're like, oh, you've got 2,000 books. It's the largest or one of the largest like companies in the UK. It's got 200 video games and some other stuff, but comparatively, yeah, it is. Hey Curtis, thanks man, you really didn't have to give that. More for the paint fund, love your videos. Curtis buddy, that is just, oh, thank you, I really appreciate that, man. Everyone say thank you Curtis, because that's just, you don't have to do that, man. I appreciate it though, thank you. I've lost my train of thought now, you bastard. Yeah, so it is still relatively niche, because if you look at any other major thing, like, it'd be very difficult to fill out an entire cinema's worth of screens with a Warhammer product. And like, you might if you had Henry Cavill in there and that sort of thing, but they'd be going to see Henry Cavill, not they'd going to see Warhammer. Like if we were to put the Space Marine movie, for example, into the cinema, you wouldn't fill out a single screen. Because it's not well known in the kind of the mainstream. It's in the periphery of the mainstream. Like, people know of it through things, but they know about it in the same way that they know about things like Starship Troopers. It's still kind of niche. So yeah, if they do piss off the wargaming side of things, I don't think Games Workshop would survive. Because you've got to remember, your box of miniatures, you know, box of intercessors, for example, in total costs about £1.48 to make, which is nuts. That's silly. So they get 34-ish pounds per box that they sell. So yeah, they would be shooting themselves in the foot. 'Cause you got to remember, if they make a film, it costs £250 million to make. It will cost about the same again in marketing. That's your average for a movie. Is it going to make $500,000 or $500 million at the box office? Probably not. Probably not. They scale it back and they don't spend the money. They either don't have the writing staff, then they don't have the SFX budget, and they don't have the big name actors. And that's what you want, is you need Henry Cavill. In whatever they do to break into the mainstream, it has to have Henry Cavill front and centre, because you have to have the free marketing that is everyone going, look at the Nerd King! Look at the Nerd King! And he has to do his thing. It has to look phenomenal. It cannot have subpar CGI in any way, shape or form. It has to have articles written about it in magazines that are like, how this movie is breaking SFX ground. So yeah, GW most definitely couldn't do that. So they couldn't survive on media. They won't survive on their books, because frankly their books are terrible. They don't produce enough of them, and the scalpers get too many of them. Remember, Scalper is doing more damage than good to Games Workshop in the long run, because yes, Games Workshop sells all of their books, which is what they want, but they're not selling them to Warhammer fans. And what you want is someone going, I want to buy this book. Okay? I'm going to come here on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock and I'm going to buy this book. Now, if every one of those books is gone by 10:01, that's fantastic. But what they actually want is, I'm going to buy this book and some models, because I'm here. And the scalpers probably aren't doing that bit. So if everyone who buys the £75 limited edition book, £100 book, whatever it costs, but also buys a £40 box of models, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And that's actually something they're missing out on as a treat, is bundling books with model kits. You know, it's like, oh, hey, you know, do you want to buy, I don't know, the new Primark book, for example. You know, here's the new Primark book, Lorgar, Father of Dicks. Buy the book for £75, or you can get the book with Lorgar, the model itself, and we'll knock a tenner off the price. And people would buy that. Absolutely. Yeah. They really would. In fact, bundles with any sort of discount through Games Workshop would sell. And they don't even have to be huge bundles. More people know about D&D and its film wasn't successful. Yeah. So this is the problem. D&D in the last couple of years has been pandering to... how do I say this without getting cancelled? People who reside on Twitter and have dyed hair. So D&D, Wizards of the Coast, have been really heavily leaning towards Twitter people. And unfortunately, they're doing the same thing that Marvel Comics has done. Lean towards Twitter people. Twitter people are very loud about it. Oh my god, look at this new comic book character. They're XYZ. You know, they fit all of the boxes of representation. They're just like me. They buy the first book. They post a picture of it on Twitter. They never buy the second book. D&D. Do they buy and play D&D? No. Most of those people don't play D&D. They collect the merchandise. They buy Funko Pops. They talk about it, but I doubt many of them have actually played a full campaign of D&D. They will pressure creators about it to be inclusive. They will be like, oh my god, look at this amazing 3D printed model I've seen of a half-orc barbarian in a wooden wheelchair. Isn't that inclusive and great? And they might buy the model. If you're lucky, but I've not seen many people buying stuff like that. And they'll go on Reddit and they'll share things around and they'll talk about how great it is, and you know, they'll call people grognards and stuff who don't like it, and they'll get really, really loud on Twitter, and they will harass people. They will harass Wizards of the Coast. They'll harass companies, and the company will go, "Oh my god, look how loud people are on Twitter about this subject. It must be a really popular point of view. It must be a really popular subject." No, it's not. They're just loud. They're just really loud for people. And they're like the female Space Marine people. The guys who want female Space Marines are not women. There was a very informal poll held on Twitter that basically just said, hey, can you tick which one you want? Do you want female Space Marines? Yes, no. And it was like, yes, I want them, and I'm male. No, I don't want them, and I'm male. Yes, I want them, and I'm female. No, I don't want them, and I'm female. And overwhelmingly, the only people who want female Space Marines are blokes. And that's hilarious, because it's clearly not about representation. It's clearly not about, women in the hobby, because if it was, women would be the ones asking for it. Incidentally, women like to play Orcs, Tau, Eldar, and Tyranids. And Tyranids is at the top of that list. I don't know why, but Tyranids are super popular with chicks. So yeah, like these loud people, they keep pressuring people. And, that's why companies make these changes. If GW follows this trend, and it does the whole ESG, DINE, and follows that, it would severely damage the hobby. It will limit the sale of miniatures, and it will push people away. It will push them into 3D printing. If it hasn't already, it will push them into recasters. It will lower the interaction with their website, with anything they produce. You just had to see how vocal some people got about some of the more recent cover art for some of the 40k books to see that. Because, unfortunately, 40k is still hugely popular with, you know, a certain demographic of guys who don't know how to talk to women. It just is. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not accusing anyone here of being that way, but, you know, socially awkward and, you know, more right-leaning people are just into Warhammer. And they spend a fucking load of money. Because they're not spending it on going out or spending it on deodorant. Sorry. So, yeah, GW could crash. If they piss off their main audience, the loud Twitter ones will not financially support them. Because they don't want to. Because, frankly, 40k isn't something they care about. It's the opposite of what they want. Strong male characters defending the innocent and fighting evil is absolutely against what they stand for. Is anyone jumping to grab the Calgar Marvel comic outside of collectors and the handful that took the chance on it? No, not really. Very few people I know have actually bothered picking it up. Most of them have read it online. FSM advocates like I can't read that, sorry. Oh, right. Female Space Marine advocates' likes are public, and they tend to be a lot of muscle women. I get it, yeah. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with strong women. Like, at all. Like, there's no problem with that at all, but it's not the same thing. You know, if it was just about strong female characters, then they wouldn't have any problem with Sisters of Battle, Sisters of Silence, the Imperial Guard, or anything. But it's not about that. It's about corrupting and changing Space Marines. Are they actually real? I've never met anyone or heard anyone in the local community saying, I want to F Marion and all. Oh, F a Marine. And I always thought they were a joke. Again, there's not many of them, but they're really loud online. That's the problem, Mark. You know, echo chambers echo. They get very loud. But, yeah, I don't know. I think Games Workshop's got some resilience. I think at the end of the day, they would be very quick to change anything that was hugely, you know, damaging. I have been wounded, says Polska Strong. Hey, there's nothing wrong with Strong. This is a muscle mummy safe zone, alright? But I don't need, you know, that sort of thing in Warhammer for me. It does seem to be very... There seems to be this, like, correlation between them of people who can't seem to separate kink out from everything in their entire life. But, yeah, that's not me. So no, I mean, I've got no problem with strong female characters in this. You know, I'm happy that we could get, you know, female Inquisitors, Imperial Guard regiments, Sisters of Battle. I'd love more models for both the Sisters of Silence and the Sisters of Battle. Double the size of both of their ranges. Give me models for every single entry in the Sisters of Silence list, please, and I'd be happy. So yeah, that was a long ramble. I shouldn't have done that. Sorry. I'll probably keep going for another 5-10 minutes or so, guys, and then I'll head off. Yes, Agrax Earthshade, one of the greatest paints ever created. I'm thinking of picking up some Dark Eldar next, actually. I'd quite like to do some of those before the prices skyrocket. Because that's one thing I'm really not looking forward to, is the Dark Eldar update. Because they are going to jack the prices on those guys so much. Yeah. James, you've hit the nail on the head there, mate. Spot on. Alright guys, I think I'm actually going to call it there. Well, some good work done on this. I'm very happy with this guy. I'll probably be streaming again tomorrow. If you guys are working on something then as well, we can share them around and have a look again. Curtis, again, thank you very much for that. You really didn't have to do that. I really appreciate that. Guys, if you are not on the Discord and you want to, go check out the community posts and feel free to join. Everyone who likes and subscribes to the videos, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks for all the support you guys have been giving me for the last couple of days. It's been really, really heartwarming. Okay guys, thank you very much. I'm going to call it there. I'm going to try and do some stuff this evening. Thank you very much. Stay safe. Those of you who've injured your back, rest up. Those of you who don't go to the gym 6 days a week like they do,